So we want to first refresh the 8 things that you should have for the day done and plan the day. As I have said before, sit with your son and daughter every day at about 7 o'clock and get them to plan their day as if it's a daily fresh exercise. Now we know that there are repetitive things every day, but plan it with them every day like a fresh exercise. That's how you coach your son and daughter, because in our time we obeyed our parents like obeying commanders, but these kids need that approach like a coach, helping them to fix their time and schedules. They'll appreciate you. They love you for that. They need that help in this digitized age. They need that help from you so that you keep it easy for them, how they manage their day. So daily wake up is very important, as I have told you before. Try to catch it at 6 a.m. Don't allow kids to delay more than that if possible. Work with them rather than fight with them. That's do it with them. Encouragement is the way, appreciation, affirmation, then approval, which means they know there are checks and balances, appreciation, affirmation, and then approval, the check and balances. That's 3A Fitch rating for kids. Parents need to do it. And then, of course, you have assessment and accreditation, which you have to consider is as a bonus, because parents are not teachers, parents are not bosses, chairmen, you are not managers, you are parents. But let it come through that you have the appreciation and the affirmation, and then approval. They need to know there is a check and meet a measure, but it is for them, not against them. So coach them to see that it can work for them. The time management is for them, so that every hour they maximize the profit. Don't make it a rigor and a law. Tell them every hour is a seed for life. Just the way the whole of your time is a seed of life. Then every day is a bit of a seed. Every hour is a seed, and every hour produces a harvest. So last time I did about this, how trampling the seed, you ruin the harvest. Being busy with no direction like the roadside, you ruin the harvest. Then if there are birds of the air coming and picking the good seed and going off, you lose the harvest. So the first thing is management of daily time, wake up time, and of course the sleep time. That's where the melatonin kicks in. And with sleep time, it really begins at 6 p.m. So 6 p.m. so to say, the melatonin begins to secrete and get the brain into next day. So if you think of a day, if you think of a time management at 6 p.m. onwards, even it's okay, because by 7, melatonin is increasing. Also the GABA time, that is the time when you are ready for mea culpa, getting it right, putting wrongs right. And the sleep time with GABA, that's the time parents must maximize. Parents must be around children at that time to win all you can for them. That should be a parent's attitude, to win all you can for them. So any day, once you come home, that time is a parent-child time. It cannot go for your SMS, your digital games, and your digital life. Once you come home, you have to keep the smartphone away. Don't walk into the home speaking on the phone. Then children get the idea that dad has no time. He has so many other things. Then we have to ask the dad, why on earth did you have a child if you don't have time for the child? Same with mom. Pardon me for that strong statement, but that's how children feel if you come home with your work and with your laptop and with your smartphone. It's a kind of selfie existence, while you are trying to tell the children not to have selfie existence because of the smartphone. You might be doing the same thing. So that's about morning awake time, catching the early sunrise, and the sleep time, giving maximum opportunity for melatonin to weave through your brain. I call it God's Dream Weaver program for the head, where all the brain cells are brought into maximal order neurochemically and neuronally. So there's a glymphatic system in the brain dependent on melatonin working. So melatonin works from 8 p.m., but certainly sleep must come by about 11 p.m. And you must agree, family must agree to a sleep time. Otherwise, family will not be family if everybody sleeps at the time they want and get up at the time they want. You break the family bonding. So modern life and all digital schemes are planned to break up the family, reduce the force of the family so that people can substitute other things instead of the when family effect, family strength, family influence is broken, alien influences will enter the child's life and your life. You need to take care about that. So dream sleep, no dream sleep is very important for all that. So these are the 8 things that I have already done too. Then family time to be together, and time for personal reflection is also very important. Third one is manage meal times. Meal time is mainly social communication time. Think of it like that, social interaction time, because at meal time, oxytocin is high, and that's a good time to capitalize on for family growth. Then you have allocated study times, pre-plan and agree on it so that you don't have fisticuffs with your children. Fifthly, time for fun, recreation and play. You must have a little slot every day. If it's in the night, board games, carom. If it's in the daytime, if you have a table tennis table at home, it's a great thing. We have in our Empathic Learning Center at 374 Ruhun with the Colombo 8, we have a great gymnasium on grips and ropes. We call it Grips and Ropes Thrill Sports, GARTS, G-A-R-T-S. It's a 3,600 square foot area. And it's all on ropes, low rope, mid rope, high rope. High rope, of course, needs harness and helmet. So you can send a WhatsApp to +94 76 313 4800 to check on any of these things, whether they are available for you to come and use. So that's about how to do fun and recreation without going to public gyms, how to set up such things at home. I have done a full clip on it. So gym at home, how to make it without much expense. You can ask for those clips on that WhatsApp number, 076 313 4800. Also, I'm Dr. Lalith Mendis. My last post was as head of Department of Pharmacology in the State Medical Faculty. I have my app, which is free for download, Golden Nuggets. It has a spiritual section and a science section. You can get it free. You can ask for it. If you need it, you can send a WhatsApp number, but it's direct download, Golden Nuggets. It's available from Google as well as Apple Store. Then you have to have a time for writing wrong. That is RIGHTING, writing wrong. Families are not into WRITING, writing wrong. Remember that nation is also a family. So more citizens work together to get a nation up and running. You have to treat the nation like family. You can't treat a nation like warring factions as it is happening now. You have to school yourself that government is part of a nation. You're also a very important part of a nation. Professions, government, legislature, executive, judiciary, different powers and sections, but we have to work like a family. Of course, the Good Shepherd intended the whole globe to be working like a family of nations. But now we know a COVID pandemic has invaded, and how it was planned. The virus was made in a lab so that all the resources of every nation will be in the hands of a few. The British Medical Journal has published a report on how all this arm twisting and fraudulent practices were employed to get going the present scheme of things that goes on for management. So if you want to read the British Medical Journal link, you can ask from me. Maybe I can send it to you and get it up on the screen. Let me see if I can get it up on the screen for you. Yes, let me see. Give me a minute so that it can be one part of the slide. Yes, so that there's such a lot of wrongdoing has been going on, arm twisting, and COVID researcher blows the whistle on data integrity issues in that process. And so that is now it's in the open. Adi, I'm sending it to your WhatsApp so that you can put it up if possible so people can benefit from it. Yes. Pardon me, I thought it's important. That's why it took a little time to get that going. But let's get back to our talk for the day. Managing your time for yourself best. So I was time for writing wrong. That's the important part. Usually 7 p.m. is a good time so that you have come home and settled down. You can't dodge wrong. And a good bird says, do not let wrath settle down with the sun. Do not let your anger go down with the sun. Same for bitterness. Same for things children hide. Because whatever you take down with your melatonin into the night becomes part of your hard memory. Brain also works with RAM memory, working memory and hard memory. That's why you have to allow the melatonin to work through the night so that what you have done during the day enters your deep memory. That's the purpose of melatonin. If you use LED lights a lot in your house, melatonin gets disturbed. So at least in the sleeping, living areas, try to avoid LED lights. I know it's a tall order because many houses now have LED lights in the ceiling. At least provide an area without LED light with CFL warm glow, a table lamp even for where you study or children study. Try to avoid LED lights in the bedroom and in the washroom because LED lights have the blue rays and blue rays work against melatonin. Blue rays work against memory. Blue rays work against the blue frequency. I mean, in the VIBGYOR, the blue frequency works against sleep also. So this is about the writing wrong, what has happened wrong. So keeping your evening 7 to 9 or 7 to 10 peaceable. So don't get into fisticuffs with different TV programs. And more you use 4K and 8K, the more sleep disturbed you will be. More you are looking at the pixel screen and doing vigorous activity like digital games, more sleep disturbed you will be. But if you are just doing homework, Microsoft Word or that kind of thing, it doesn't disturb so much. And many laptops now have a night mode. So two different kinds of how much pixel consumption goes on during the hour is the way that the brain begins to get depleted. Yes. Then seventhly, time invested for home chores together makes kids' brain versatile and helps family bonding as well, things you do together. Eighth one is sleep time, which I have already done about sleep time. Now, in between studies, now there's one aspect of the bioclock that runs in your body. There are some more aspects I'll get on to. But I want to do this. Your prefrontal cortex has your executive empathic tracts and the executive empathic thinking. Empathic is good for me, good for my future, good for those whom I know. Dyspathy is there. So the empathic tract is the bottom-up regulation. Dyspathy comes from the, beg your pardon, the empathic tract, prefrontal cortex, executive empathic, creative, think can do, initiate, navigate, successful in conclusion. and well done reward. Who says well done reward? Your own insight says well done reward. That's necessary for every hour, because the Good Shepherd has designed the brain for every hour functioning. Dopamine works for salience, and serotonin works for check back and reward motive, and for improvement. The serotonin looks at what you have done for 45 minutes. How can I improve it? That I should do better. This I can do better. That was all right. Your own brain is saying that. So when a child gets used to that, he is amenable for character reformation. He is amenable for how to improve things. When a child is on the digital screen all the time, that default mode network breaks down. Dopamine goes high, 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 and he wants to do the same thing repetitively. So this is executive, empathic, creative, reflective thinking and doing from prefrontal cortex. From the other one that you keep doing the same thing comes from the bottom-up regulation. Every talk I do this because it's so important in the digital age, where you want to do the same thing, and the same thing may be pornography, gambling, any other addiction, fast digital games, violent digital games. That is bottom-up regulation coming up from what you see on the screen is the BMJ article that has recorded all the misdoings that have been going on in the pandemic procedures that have been deployed worldwide, and what a profit thing it has become in the name of science and medicine. What a sad, sad thing. So now I want to get on to the prefrontal cortex best working time, how to stretch it, how to give it a renewal. So you got it. Best working time, executive, empathic, prefrontal cortex, top-down regulation. You think new, you think improvement, even every hour, because that's how the Good Shepherd has designed you. But when you get into that last hour's thing, last hour's anger, yesterday's bitterness, when you get into that mode, it's called bottom-up regulation, because the last bad thing is deciding all your, making you to decide all decisions on the last bad thing. Now remember, even on your tongue, you have salt, you have sugar taste, you have sugar taste, salt taste, you have bitter taste, you have sour taste. What do you remember most on your tongue, is the bitter taste. That's a biological necessity to stop eating poison. But when the brain gets bitter with bad memories, revenge, grudges, brain also gets back mostly to the bitter thing. So if you have one bitter thing going on in your brain and your parents do 5 sweet things for you, but you will remember the one bitter thing. That's the bottom-up regulation. So I'm trying to tell you today a few things to get out of it, even on a regular basis. So one kind of break you can have is just now you have been studying for some time, or your brain weary, you feel your brain weary, which means your serotonin has not had time to recover. One thing to do is, if you are able to switch to deep reflective thought. Now people who are used to prayer, you will understand this. Then hymns and music is also a deep way of getting time again and getting back into creative mode. Best is you singing and not listening to others singing. Listening to music is also a wearying brain activity, but you recalling and singing any tune, properly or improperly, is a very good brain refreshing activity. So this is about stopping your work and getting a break and getting refreshing by yourself, switching off to things that in the temporal lobe are sweet and pleasant. Sweet memories, happy memories, things you did with your parents together, your rewarded times, refreshing times. You can try that. Secondly, certainly a nutritional break, especially with fruit. Fruit has serotonin, and serotonin is involved in melatonin production also. More fruit you eat, the better it is. So your nutritional break can be fruit. You can eat fruit 4 or 5 times a day. A small bowl of fruit, keep it in the refrigerator. I have told this before. And fruit is also good for immunity. So pineapple has bromelain, orange has flavonoids, oranges, and more white stuff in the orange you eat, the better it is. Then pear, guava, and apple has quercetin. Also, onions have quercetin. So just eating onions, if you can stomach it, is a good thing. Those are some of the things you can try. Then, of course, tea, just plain tea, Ceylon tea. It has quercetin and it's a good refreshing habit. No sugar, of course, as well as it is an immunity developing habit. So as you know, I have explained this many times, COVID is an immune inflammation disorder. You might have seen that 2 new drugs they are approving, one called molnupiravir and another one that's by Merck and other one by Pfizer. Now, both these drugs act once the virus gets inside the cell. The other drug that the FP does not permit me to mention names, that drug, which is now widely used in Sri Lanka, if you want to know about it, I have written to the College of General Practitioners of Sri Lanka, has it on their website. I can send you a clip if you send me a WhatsApp number to 076-313-4800. That really works. So when the pharma is into something, they work with the mainstream media. So they didn't allow repurposed cheap drugs to be used. But thankfully in Sri Lanka it is used. What they did was, till they got extremely expensive new drugs, there was no suggestion of available treatment. People were just left to die. I think it's criminal. But if the proper treatment is given, people don't have to die. Now, a new drug is also available. No, it's an old drug, used for a long time. It is now clinical trials have proved it useful, fluoxamine. So in the midst of my bioclock refreshing, I just switched a little to a COVID update as to what is happening. The most astounding news is that BMJ has published how fraudulent the procedures for approval were. So it's creating waves because BMJ, British Medical Journal, perhaps the only journal that is not dependent on pharmaceutical profit. They have said the truth as it is, and it's creating quite a bit of ripples now for the past 72 hours because the truth is out. But you know, truth is out is one thing, what people do with the truth is another thing. Truth, pharmacological truth is also the same thing. Spiritual truth is also, it goes the same way. So I get back to the mode of how do you keep executive, empathic, brain bright, reflective, creative in what you do, studies or work. And don't shift to bottom-up regulation, the bitter. It works through the bitter endorphins and so on. That is, you recall always the bitter thing. So I told you how to take a deep thought break with or without music, certainly nutritional break, especially with fruit, and nuts also help. So whatever you chew like that, when the jaws are involved, it has an effect on the brain. Third good way of taking a break and refreshing, giving time for prefrontal cortex to recover, is social communication, socialize, chat to each other. And this, you may include a pet also at this time, running around with the pet, but don't give the pet the time and the love due to family members, but pets also can help. So the third way of refreshing brain is social communication. When oxytocin begins to move with communication, brain goes bright. That's why I told you, keep every meal time. Families sit together, insist on that from young days of your children. Insist that families sit together. Now, you can't make laws. You have to start habits before the age of 5. So please don't give the digital screen before the age of 5. Please don't give. You will you will interfere with their language, and you will ruin their good habit formation. So family time, meal times are family time, family communication time. No interrogation time. Don't discuss work during meal time. Don't ask how much 9 times 9, what did the teacher say? That's not for meal time. Meal time is happy social intercourse. Always talk about the future, how things can improve. When you want to do study, I always recommend this, parents to take a study time once a week even, with the subject you can manage. You have to get into the child's life with the things the child needs. That's the way to get into their heart. So if they're needy in a subject, should you can teach Sinhala or English. And if you can teach a bit of math or science, that would be wonderful. Environmental studies, anyone can teach. So take some time to teach your children if your children are in the school going age. And if you can manage that grade and that subject, that's a real bonus for social communication. So this is about social communication as a brain relaxing or brain brightening time, so that you constantly get back to prefrontal cortex, executive, empathic, reflective, creative. That's how God the Good Shepherd has designed us to think and do. Initiation, navigation, successful in conclusion, reward. And who says reward? Your own inside says reward. So I have told you this before, man is not brain only, brain comes last. Man is spirit, then he has conscience and heart. Heart has affections and desires. It could be good, bad, or ugly, but heart has affections and desires, and the conscience is the umpire. You must practice both. Then you have imagination and emotion. So don't let your imagination run riot. Live now, but speculate for the future. That's what man does. And I've done this clip about the 7 gifts inside you, 7 character abilities. Please ask for the clip if you want. Again, send me a WhatsApp number to my WhatsApp. You can download my app for free, Golden Nuggets. It has all these clips. So the switching off the brain with pleasant things, I told you. Then the nutritional break. Then I told you the social break. Fourth break is a physical one. You know, if you have a little gym at home, I told you how to get one done, or running around in the gardens, playing cricket with your grandchildren, or just hang a ball and keep playing, you know, what we did for cricket practice, hang a ball. I have done this before, how to keep a gym at home, so I'm not going to repeat it. So the 4th kind of break you take to get out of repetition and recharge your empathic executive battery, the prefrontal cortex. It has a limited battery time. You can recharge it by these 4 things I have told you now. Yes. So digital screen and getting onto the social media when you are already brain tired, it will not help your brain. It will only make your brain dull. All social media only makes your brain dull. I repeat it, all social media only makes your brain dull. Please don't give your child the digital screen before the age of 5. If you give it before the age of 3, you scramble children's language. So the advice of the American Pediatric Association is don't give the digital screen at all before the age of 5. As I do interviews and appointments, Empathic Learning Colombo, I'm the director of the Colombo Empathic Learning Center. It's a field I pioneered, how to use grips and ropes and other activities to digitox the child, get the child's brain learning patterns back into normal. If you want a document on it or a clip on it, please send a WhatsApp saying Empathic Learning Therapy clip. I'm published on the College of General Practitioners have published my seminar that I did for SLMA, that is Sri Lanka Medical Association, in 2019. Its whole document is available for you to go through. It's scientific, but it's quite, you can understand. With a little bit of reading, you can understand. It's a good topic for you to know and master. It will help you. It will help your kids also, and you'll understand the digital age, the TikTok age much better. Don't fight them. Work with them. Work for them. Yes, I took some time on it. Now next term, yes, I have done the 8 things that the Little more emphasis on the meal time. Manage the meal times. Try to do dinner always together. Try to do all weekend meals together. Meal time is invaluable to teach thanksgiving and gratitude. Meal is the first resource kids learn to handle. So let them handle it well with gratitude, and every bit of rice they must eat. So never give up on rice. Don't give up rice. Don't give up on rice or manioc or bread or anything else. Rice is the best cereal in the world. 8% by weight of rice is good quality protein. Every quality protein is not the same. Sri Lanka does not have malnutrition where Africa has because of rice. And now it is known arginine in rice is helpful to prevent COVID infection also. Mealtime is communication oxytocin time. Use it maximally for well. No screen, no phone at mealtime. That law applies for everybody. Time for fun, recreation, and play. You may plan for vacation out of home, but every day you must have some planned daily fun activities with your kids. So that's right. Time for righting wrong, I did it. Home chores together, I did it. Then management of seasons of life. So life is on a timeline. The whole life is like a seed time. Then comes seasons of life. Basically, till 14, your brain tracts grow. So please help your kids not to scramble their brain tracts by doing digital screen. Till 14, they must do executive empathic things and not repetitive things on the digital screen. Tell them that a doctor uncle said, if you don't do, I have done clips for children also. I have done one for TikTok generation. And in the TikTok generation one, I have spoken their language. I make an appeal to them, please, you have only till the age of 14 to get your new brain tracts laid down. Because at 14, brain tracts get edited, and more creative brain tracts you have, more that you will have for the rest of your life. Then 14 to 18 is a critical age of interaction. That's the time parents must do best to invest as much as possible in them. To be available for investment before the age of 14, be their best friends. Then as the young man is passing through 14, he needs dad's affirmation more and more. You remember the 3A Fitch rating: appreciation, affirmation, approval. Check and say, good, this is good, and this is how you improve. That's how you go. You never say useless. You'll never get it right. Never use that kind of condemning language. They remember it forever. Your assessment is very important for them. Your affirmation is very important for them. So here is a management of seasons of life. There is an appointed time for everything. There is a time for every event under heaven. So remember, your disappointment may be a God appointment. Remember that every season of life, 14 to 18, 18 to 24 is the time you get into tertiary education, and you are then getting professionally trained for the work field of your life. By 24, you should be in that work field. It's an appointed time. After 24, trying to change work fields is not a good idea. Maybe you can change once. Changing workplaces all the time is not a good idea either. But changing work fields is a worse idea. So by 24, if you know that you're going to be a doctor, engineer, or whatever, teacher, nurse, or a business field, by 24, you must know which field you are going to excel in. Then by 33, you have done the first 1/3 of your life. By that time, your child would be about 5 years old, ready to go to school. So a big change comes at that time. Then by 43, you have done 2/3 of your life, your success season. And then your child is 15, generally speaking. Then you have to think of how to invest in your kids once again, more than in the corporate. So 43 is time for investing in others, and it becomes half life, half time. Then You are thinking of your investments into others. This comes from the Good Shepherd's mandate: be fruitful, multiply, and fill your portion and be fulfilled. Then help steward others in their portion, which is the secret of beyond success is significant. So 43 onwards, you'll be 43 years, I mean, you'll be contributing more and more to other people's life, beginning with your own children. So even after 70, you are still useful when you keep your long-term relationships. Remember, by 43, you need to have the friends who will be your lifelong friends and hopefully lifelong workmates. That's why at 43, major changes are traumatic. So don't try for divorce. Marriage is for life. And by 43, so from 33, you're working for lifelong relationships. Of course, marriage is always a lifelong relationship, not an experiment. Please remember that. So beyond 43, how you input into other lives is very important. So why am I so specific about these things? Because in 1970, when I became first in the island in the A-level examination and entered Colombo Medical Faculty from St. Thomas's College, Mount Lavinia. I was first in the island. I did not know that I was capable of all that. And then my head was very solar because we did chemistry, physics, zoology, botany, and coming first in the island in the A-level examination. Then every medical exam in the Colombo Medical Faculty, I was batched up. During that time, a change came into me. I realized that my head was getting brilliant. My heart was shrinking. As I have said before, head and heart follows an inverse relationship. More brain bright you get, more stingy in heart you get. Also, I realized this. That's the time spiritual change came into my life. I continued to become batched up in my faculty, and then I became the registrar to the professor of medicine. Colombo. Later, I went as head of Department of Pharmacology in a state medical faculty. So that's a short, brief thing about my social trajectory, just for you to know. The Good Shepherd at every appointment of life comes from a Good Shepherd. There's an appointed time for everything, and there is a time for every event under heaven. A time to give birth and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot what is planted. So life has its seasons, but it is not ad hoc. Seasons come from the seed and the sower of the seed. So your first 14 years is a seed. Your next 14 years is an equal seed. Your marriage partner in life is a seed that the seed sower. So life is to be considered as a partnership of seed sowing and reaping a harvest with the divine sower, the Good Shepherd. He's the one who gives the appointed times. A time to kill and time to heal. That is to say, a time comes when the body cells die, and then body cells heal and rejuvenate. And so if a body cell does not die, it becomes cancerous. So cancer cell is a cell which has an abnormality in apoptosis. Apoptosis is a process by which a cell finishes its ordained life. Appointment. Much more than you think, there are appointed things in the body. Appointment, law and order comes from a lawgiver and one who keeps appointment. So our birth was an appointment. It was the will of our parents, of course. Mother gave an ovum, father gave a sperm. It became a zygote, a cell with a unique genome. After that, it should not be destroyed. It doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the one who gave life. Then in time, the person comes into that body and man becomes a living soul, a living personality. Yes. So from whatever you got from father's side, mother's side, God the Good Shepherd gives a bonus. That's how life goes. It's an appointment. At birth, that breath comes and our hemoglobin changes. And who gives these appointments? I like to say it's the Good Shepherd who has given these appointments. A time to weep and a time to laugh. Seasons of life will change. A time to mourn and a time to dance. They will come. Next one, time to throw stones and time to gather stones. That is, the temporary edifices break down and you have to build others. So don't hang on to past glory. So you have to finish school and get into work. You have to leave under 15 and get into first 11 and whatever. And so there are things you have to dismantle and get on to the next thing. But there are other things in life, like the growth of your spirit, conscience, lifelong relationships. They are not to be dismantled. So you must know what should be dismantled to get on to the next season and what is never to be dismantled. Yes, that's how God has attended on life. A time to search, a time to embrace and a time to shun, time to search and a time to give up. So there are things that you search and seek and find. There are things that you will not be able to find. For that, you need supernatural help. You need wisdom beyond the human mind. So science has a limit. If we think science is God, we'll do pandemics. And we will plan, as some people have planned, how to depopulate. That's the theory that goes that food growing is an ecological pollution. Some people thought so. And why should food grow? Because population is increasing. So what's the solution they have found? Population should be decreased, depopulation. How to depopulate? Do a pandemic. That's what they did. That's how the world has gone. But there's scientific evidence for this. There's records for this. I'm not just saying hearsay. A time to tear apart and a time to sow. A time to be silent and a time to speak. So there's a list of, how things change. Remember him before the silver cord is broken. This is about the Good Shepherd. Silver cord is that the appointment we had, why we came down to earth and broken, and the golden bowl is crushed. Golden bowl is life here, and then it is transferred. The pitcher by the well is shattered. That is to say, we every day, we let down the pitcher and pull up the pitcher. That's how the day goes. 12 hours, 12 hours. Then a time comes when this recurrent daily thing will stop. Then we enter a different order of time. When the dust will return to the earth as it was, and the spirit will return to the Good Shepherd. Then I have given 7 challenging times for which every family should be ready. Examination time, that's not merely kids' examination time, tests come in life, so that we'll give up the chaff, the bull of life, the useless, and take up the golden grain. So as I said, life is a harvest, and from time to time we are taken to the threshing floor. That season is over. Then we will find what is golden grain that is lasting, what is the huge amount of chaff, the useless that we have been carrying with pomp and glory. When that is removed, we have the precious for the next season. Don't take the lock, stock, and barrel useless stuff, our pomp and our boasting to the next season. It doesn't last. Food is the flattery of food. Flattery is the food of fools. So we don't have to do that. Take the precious in every season and you move on to the next season. That is examination time. So we need to, next one is sickness time. With COVID around, we have to help each other. When COVID comes to a family, it's a terrible time. People shun you, are shy. So get ready. There's a first pandemic. They're already talking about a Marburg virus, and they're already saying immunity is not lasting, so much more has to be done. So the story goes on. The pandemic narrative goes on. So you have to read between the science. But the new report in British Medical Journal is outstanding, that they have put down all the fraud that has gone on. Worth reading it so that you know that a narrative was being sold with all the mainstream media censoring any truth. But this is out now. So each nation has to decide how they manage the pandemic. Disappointment time, they will always come. In it, God may be giving you, or it may be that your chaff got too much to carry. There's another expression is tares overtook the wheat. Tares are the useless, Valpalati, overtook the wheat. That's why it is disappointment come. Without going on like that, it's better to start a new season. And God is into second chance and third chance, giving you a new season with some more seed. He's gracious. So he tells us to give others also a new season. Always talk the language of improvement, not shut down, not elimination, not rejection, but another chance. Then times of financial moral failure is very difficult to bear. So you might not, I'm not saying anticipate it, but moral failure in a partner, your life partner, is very, very painful. But we need to have a way of handling it. And if your child goes through it before time, it's a very difficult thing. But we have to have moral resources built up during peacetime. Peace times are very important because war times come. The world is such. World is invaded by an alien force. That's how the Good Shepherd explained it. He says, I give you green pastures, but there are valleys of the shadow of death. So he says, I give you green, I'm the Good Shepherd, you will not want. I give you green pastures to lie down. I take you by still waters. I give you paths of righteousness. I restore your soul. Then begins, though you walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will be still there. My rod and staff, they comfort you. I will restore your soul. Then he says, I will prepare your table in spite of the adversaries. So he names the adversaries. He names the valleys and the shadows. They will come. But Good Shepherd has provision also. So he prepares my table. Table means my placement, people in my life, and the provision I have. So for one person, it may be only his family that he has to care for. For another person, it may be a workplace that gives livelihood for 10 other people. For yet another person, it may be a workplace with 10,000. And they have the entrepreneurial skill, management, and the grace that goes with it, entrepreneurial skill, management, and the technological skill that makes the triangle. That's the measure. So you must understand the gift, the grace, and the measure. For one person, a workplace that can provide for 10 families' livelihood. Good. Another person is managing a workplace that provides 10,000 livelihoods. That's also good. So it is all an appointment. You remember we learned here, life is an appointment. Keep that appointment with the one who gives the appointment. He's your Father in heaven. He's the Good Shepherd. I'm finishing soon. So during COVID time, we have to think of financial difficulties. Then rupture of relationship is very difficult. Dissent in the family is also difficult. But these are some challenging times that comes in your bio clock. One final appeal. Many young people are trying to go abroad and parents are selling whatever property. This is not the time for it. Every nation is in trouble, and increasing migrants is part of the pandemic planning. They want people to lose their home ground because aliens and migrants in new countries can be managed by the digital screen and by ad hoc laws more than when you are in your home country with your family. So the war is against the family. War is against fidelity. War is against looking after one generation, looking after the other. War is against every nation looking after its own. So they want to make it a giant corporate and use every nation's resources to multiply profits for the global elite. They had a meeting called the Good Club. That's how they planned it. So one billionaire, he happens to earn $36 billion a day. That's how unequal the world's thing has become. I have done an article called the Septacades, 70 years. How have they gone? If you need that article, please send me a WhatsApp to 076-313-4800. Long time ago, I realized I need a shepherd in my life. Otherwise, my brain brightness is working against my heart warmth. Yes, when brain becomes more brilliant, heart becomes less warm. Attend on that problem I had to. So thank you for listening. We meet again tomorrow at 3 p.m. with the Sinhala narrative of the same. And the English one will be again next Saturday, 3 p.m. Thank you for joining.